Welcome to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco, bringing you interviews with industry experts and regular folks who tested the job search waters and succeeded, and strategies to tell your story and land you job interviews in 60 days, guaranteed. Here's your host, Virginia Franco.
Hey guys, Virginia Franco here. Welcome to the Resume Storyteller podcast. I am recording this on April the 9th to be exact. So we are week 3 into coronavirus. There have been a ton of layoffs. I think about 10% of the workforce is currently furloughed or on unemployment. Don't know if that is going to get worse, but I am talking with a lot of new clients and former clients that are coming to me just worried about what that means for them and what they should do to prepare. So that's what I wanted to talk through with you all on the podcast today. So in an ideal world, obviously layoffs are performed as part of a large-scale plan where they sort of systematically eliminate the dead weight and work to retain the top talent. But, as we saw too often during 2008, and then countless times with corporate mergers, takeovers, and then again with this COVID stuff, large-scale planning doesn't always happen. Instead, because of the pressures that the leadership and boards face with having to make decisions quickly and under stress, and really because payroll and benefits account for a company's largest P&L expense, the majority of people that get laid off, quite honestly, were doing their best work at the time that they received their pink slip. So while it is hopeful, or I am hopeful, that the pillars of our economy are strong and that the majority of these jobs are going to return, if you have lost your job, I am so sorry. If you are preparing just in case, I want to share a couple of things that you can do now to survive and come out on the other side. So step number 1 is to make sure that you don't ignore what I call PJLD, not to be flippant, but that is post-job loss disorder. It is real. I've seen it firsthand in my home. When my husband lost his job, if you have found out that your role was eliminated, the very first piece of advice that I can offer to you is the analogy of what you hear flight attendants saying in the event the plane loses pressure, and that is to put on your oxygen mask. Without it, you will be no good to anyone. So what that means when you are dealing with PJLD is that it is okay to catch your breath, let the run of emotions and shock run through your body. Post-job loss disorder might not be an official diagnosis. Actually, I'm sure it's not. But anyone who has been through this before knows that it is 100% real. So catch your breath. Take 2 or 3 days to do so. After that, while it's okay to be constantly worried, to be upset, it is time to forge a plan for your next move. But just don't beat yourself up if you have a rough day, because that's going to happen. If you haven't lost your job yet, but you are always worried, that's okay too. Those feelings are equally valid, and they require an oxygen mask from time to time as well. So that's number 1, deal with PJLD. I need to coin a different phrase because I can't say that. The second point is to take a look at the money. As soon as you are no longer employed, file for unemployment or see if you qualify for any part of the stimulus package. You know, there is parts in there for freelancers, 1099 contractors, for business owners, small businesses, all of it. A great resource to help you out is the Department of Labor's Career One Stop, and it will get you to your state's site And it also contains a lot of really, really helpful job search resources and sites for you to go to. The next thing, and I recommend this whether you are currently employed or not, is to look at your finance. It says, look at the must-haves. What are the nice-to-haves? What can you pay in installments? What can you put on credit if you have to? And what you can absolutely cut out ASAP until the cash starts coming in again. Once that process is done, it is time to get your career marketing collateral ready to roll. You need to make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn profile are current, not just in content, but fresh in format. If you have not needed to search for a job in the last 5 to 7 years, it's very important to note that while networking is a huge component, you've got to make sure that your resume can be read by applicant tracking software, or ATS, which are, and that's the screening mechanisms that a lot of companies have in place so that when you upload it online, it is programmed to look for keywords and to sort of get filtered through before it gets to a human to look at it. You also have to make sure that your LinkedIn is very rich in those same keywords. LinkedIn is a go-to site for hiring managers and recruiters that are typing in those words to search for talent like you. When it comes to updating your resume, I have a post on my site. If you can't find it, let me know or email me and I'll shoot it to you. But it details 5 critical sections to focus on. And it's called 5 critical sections to focus on when you are writing a resume. For LinkedIn, I also have a post on my site on how to hack the LinkedIn algorithm and bump up to the top of recruiter and hiring manager searches. And again, search for those terms and it's there. If you can't find it, shoot me an email and I will make sure to send you the link. The next thing that you want to focus on is find out who is hiring. I think the last stat I saw was that for every 3 million jobs that are lost, 500,000 jobs get posted. And that doesn't include roles that were posted even before all this happened that are continuing, where the hiring process maybe was stalled at the beginning, but it has ramped up again. I am here to tell you that companies are hiring. You have to be strategic about it. You obviously don't want to target sectors that have been hardest hit, like the airlines or hospitality or brick and mortar retail, but other sectors certainly are still hiring. Networking still reigns as the best way to land fast, but I have a little bit more faith in job boards nowadays. To give you, if nothing else, they give you a solid idea of who has hiring needs. But what I have noticed in the last few weeks is those postings that have come out very recently, since the stay-at-home orders went into place, there's a little bit more urgency to them. And so I feel like people maybe have a better shot with applying online now than they did before. Now, that shot is still not as great as you'll have with networking. But what it has caused me to do is to sort of revise my earlier strategy or my recommendation for a strategy, where before I used to say, network 90% of your time, 10% spent on the job boards to figure out who has budgets. I'm now revising that to tell people to bump up their online posting game to, 20, maybe as high as 30%. Another great resource was created by Candor's founder, and that site is called Candor, C like cat, A, N like Nancy, D like dog, OR.co /hiring-freezes. And it is 100% user-generated list that contains names of companies hiring by sector. So you'll know where the hiring freezes are, who is doing layoffs, and who is actively hiring. The next important step is to re-engage your network. So once you know who is hiring, the next step is to figure out who you know and who you need to know who works there. And this is where the networking comes into play. At this point, if you have been slack about getting in touch with people and you've blown off all those messaging that you've seen around network. Don't beat yourself up or be embarrassed about connecting if you haven't done it. People right now get it, and they are not going to fault you if it has been a very long time since you've connected and are just now reaching out. In fact, they might welcome the opportunity to talk and commiserate with someone else. So now is the time to reconnect and get conversations going. Obviously, they won't be face-to-face, but they could certainly be by phone and by video. Speaking of video, that brings me to my last piece of advice, which is to make sure you are ready for your screen debut. Everyone has heard it. Zoom has become a part of our everyday vernacular thanks to this virus and pandemic. And while many large companies have embraced video interviewing as part of the hiring process, thanks to the virus, video and phone interviewing has replaced all of it at startups and established companies alike. The best way to get ready for your screen debut is to practice. Zoom, Skype, free conference call, Uber conference. Those are just a couple of different video platforms that have free accounts where you can film yourself, record your voice, and see how you look and sound, see how the lighting looks, and help you to put your best foot forward. The two tips that I want to offer to you to just up your video communications game are, number one, to take a little sticky note with Google and draw a set of googly eyes on it and tape it to the back of your monitor so that it is positioned right above the little dot where your camera is. That allows you, when you are speaking on the video, to look at the eyes rather than looking onto the screen, which is what we do because we are used to face-to-face communications where you talk to someone's face. But when you do that on video, you are looking below the camera and it makes it look like you are looking down. The sticky note with googly eyes helps you to lift up your eyes and give the appearance that you are looking at the person eye to eye. The second tip that I can offer to you is to elevate your monitor or your laptop so that you are not looking down at the camera, but rather at eye level. That will help you to minimize any double chin and also, again, give the illusion that you are speaking face-to-face. So get a box, put your laptop on an ironing board and sit down, but do whatever it takes to elevate your laptop or lower yourself so that you are at eye level with the camera. So those 6 steps, I hope, will help you to deal with the possibility of a layoff or the reality of a layoff, if that is you. Take care, guys, and stay safe.
You've been listening to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco. To learn more about storytelling strategies to catch the eye of today's SCIM online readers, hiring and decision makers, go to www.virginiafrancoresumes.com.